This is Eddie Hearn, Matchroom Boxing. You're watching Sporting Icons. You don't need to be anywhere else.
Now, I see a fair bit of this two-facedness coming from some boxing fans. And they are a minority, but you know what they say, the minority will spoil it for the majority. That's what they do. They come out with their narratives, and that's what they try and stick with, try and convince people of a certain thing. And a lot of it is anti-Matchroom. That's what it is. Now, I'm not pro-Matchroom. I mean, regardless of what some people may think, that's not the case at all. But they do put on the best shows. Some of them are pretty poor, let's be honest. But the two-facedness that I'm talking about here is age. People want to throw age. They want to make their videos, they want to drop their comments, they want to do this, that and the other and say how Anthony Joshua, he's fighting an old Kubrat Pulev, for example. Which is kind of weird, isn't it? As when Hughie Fury fought Kubrat Pulev, oh, what a great, dangerous fight. Kubrat Pulev, wow, he's world class. He's an elite fighter. Even though the age gap between Hughie Fury and Kubrat Pulev is far bigger than Joshua and Pulev. So, clowns, very, very two-faced. People want to say how Dillian Whyte taking on Alexander Povetkin, again, is another old fighter. But again, Alexander Povetkin, when he fought, again, same person, Hughie Fury. What was it people saying? Wow, that's a real dangerous fight for Hughie. I mean, Hughie, he could go out there and become a future world champion. He's just as good as Dillian Whyte. He's just as good as Joshua. He's just as good as this, that, and the other. He takes on Alexander Povetkin. That's a real dangerous fight, that. When the age gap between Hughie Fury and Alexander Povetkin, again, is so much bigger than Dillian Whyte and Alexander Povetkin. But again, these people who talk about Pulev, who talk about Povetkin, then put Wilder on some kind of pedestal because he defeated Luis Ortiz, who's much older than both of them. Much older. Never achieved anything as an amateur. Yes, he had a cold crap load of fights as an amateur, but what did he win? Nothing. Never even qualified for the Olympics. And again, you know who these clowns are because they'll talk about how Luis Ortiz was an exceptional, outstanding amateur and he went to the Olympics. Again, they're getting confused with the Luis Ortiz from 1980s, I think in 1986 or something like that, or 88, whatever it was, I've forgotten. That Luis Ortiz went to the Olympics, not this current one, totally different person. So they can't even get that point right. So when you want to come out and hate, we know why you're hating, it's just anything anti-Matchroom. I have no problem with people hating on Matchroom. You can do whatever the hell you like. It makes no difference to me whatsoever. But just be truthful about it. Just be truthful about it. People just want to hate on anything that is Matchroom related. Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn comes out with a book. Suddenly, that's a huge deal. Huge deal. How dare he write a book? How dare he? He's had everything given to him, handed to him on a plate because he was born into money. Okay, so why are you hating on him just because he was born into money and you didn't? Are you angry because your parents failed you? That must be what it is. Don't you wish that your parents had the kind of money that Barry did? Of course you do. But, okay, you know what? You don't like Eddie Hearn. Listen, Eddie Hearn ain't exactly my favourite person either. I'm not exactly his favourite person. It is what it is. But let's be honest about it. You don't just hate on anything and everything, Matchroom, and then praise other things. It doesn't make any kind of sense. It doesn't make any kind of sense. And people want to use this whole age thing. As I've just given you guys the examples there of Luis Ortiz, Alexander Povetkin, and Kubrat Pulev. They'll praise the likes of Wilder for taking on Luis Ortiz. They'll say that Dillian Whyte should take on Luis Ortiz. But what's he done compared to a Povetkin? And he's older than Povetkin. So it's not even close, is it? Not even close. They want to go in on, say, a Tony Bellew, for example. Why? Because he's associated with Matchroom. Is he a Matchroom shill? Of course he is. That's who's been paying him the wages. Of course he is. So they'll try and strip down and make it look like Tony Bellew achieved nothing, which is ridiculous, right? Which is ridiculous. They want to do the same thing with Kell Brook. They want to do the same thing with maybe Billy Joe Saunders now, whereas before, when he was with Frank Warren, he was the greatest pound-for-pound fighter and this, that, and the other. Not number one pound-for-pound fighter, but he was up there with them. And now suddenly he's with Eddie Hearn. Oh, well, he's past it. He's not very good. And, you know, clearly he's not interested in boxing and this, that, and the other. So there's always something. Always something. If Tyson Fury, if he took on Povetkin, what a great fight that would be. If Tyson Fury took on Pulev, what a great fight that would be. And you see, they'll talk about how Anthony Joshua, he turned down $50 million to take on Deontay Wilder, even though it's been proved time and time again that that money wasn't there because the money came from BT Sport, a platform Joshua cannot fight on. That's where the money was coming from. But they don't want to talk about that bit. Likewise, they don't want to talk about the fact that Wilder turned down $100 million to take on Anthony Joshua. They don't want to talk about that. They want to try and put down Dillian Whyte, the fact that he hasn't had a world title fight, and then try and go with the narrative how, well, he had his opportunity against Anthony Joshua and he turned it down. Yeah, he did turn it down. But guess who also turned it down? Tyson Fury turned it down before he became champion for a hell of a lot more money than what was offered to Dillian Whyte. Why? Because Fury, he wanted to go the WBC route. He wanted to get hold of Wilder. And it worked out great for him. But that's the same thing that Dillian Whyte wanted. So what's the problem? He wants WBC. He wants Fury. But people want to say how he should go fight Luis Ortiz. He should go fight this guy. He should go fight Wilder. He should go... Yeah, he should do all these things, yeah? Why? Why? For what reason? What's they got to do with the WBC? Luis Ortiz, when he was supposed to fight Dillian Whyte, that's the secondary mandatory spot. Again, they leave out that fact. So it's just anti-Matchroom. That's all it is. Anti-Matchroom. If Anthony Joshua left Eddie Hearn and went with Frank Warren, that would be the best thing ever, right? That would be, suddenly Anthony Joshua is a number one heavyweight in the division because he's not with Eddie Hearn. If Dillian Whyte was not with Eddie Hearn, they will be jumping up and down. Oh, well, it's unfair that Dillian Whyte, he's been number one for this amount of time. But because he's with Eddie Hearn, oh, well, it's his own fault. That's all it is. But again, the whole age thing is ridiculous. He's being two-faced. Very, very two-faced. Drop your thoughts below, click thumbs up, subscribe. Catch you all in the next video.